They called me the old janitor while I mopped outside their meeting. I owned every word they said, and the company they thought they'd stolen. Last Thursday night, I was mopping the floor outside the boardroom when I heard my son-in-law say my name. Robert's finally out of the way. 40 years he'd built this, but he was holding us back. Through the glass, I could see Dan sitting in my chair at my conference table, talking to investors about my company. I kept mopping. Nobody looked at me. When you're wearing a janitor's uniform at 11 p.m., you're invisible. That's exactly what I was counting on. My name is Robert Chen. I'm 65 years old. 3 months ago, I stepped down as CEO of ChenTech Solutions. Heart attack. Mild one, but enough to scare my daughter Emma. She begged me to retire. Let Dan take over. Rest. Enjoy life. So I did, or that's what everyone thinks. What nobody knows is this. 2 weeks after I retired, I applied for a job at my own company, night shift janitor. Different name on the application. Bob Chen instead of Robert Chen. I got hired. Been here 3 months now. Mopping floors. Emptying trash. Listening. And what I've learned would destroy everything Dan thinks he's built. The boardroom door opened. Dan walked out with 2 men in expensive suits. Investment bankers. I recognized their firm. Silverman Capital. They walked right past me. Didn't even glance down. Great meeting, Dan. One said, the restructuring plan is exactly what we need. Restructuring? I pushed my mop closer to the door. It was still open. Dan went back inside to grab his laptop. I pulled out my phone. Started recording. This wasn't the first time. For 3 months, I've been recording everything. Every late night meeting. Every confidential phone call in empty offices. Every document left on desks. Night cleaning crew has access everywhere. CEO's office. Conference rooms. File cabinets people forget to lock. I've copied emails. Photographed contracts. Recorded conversations. I know things the SEC would pay attention to. But I'm not ready yet. I need all the pieces. Let me tell you about 1984. That year, I was 25 years old, fresh out of MIT, computer science degree, thesis on database architecture. I had $8,000 in savings, a pregnant wife named Ellen, and an idea for inventory management software. My parents told me to get a real job. Ellen was terrified, but I believed in it. So I built it in our garage, 16-hour days, 7 days a week. Ellen would bring me coffee at 2 a.m., find me still coding. She never complained. Just kissed my forehead and went back to bed. When Emma was born in '85, I kept working. Ellen managed everything. The baby, the bills, the fear. By 1987, we had our first clients. Small businesses. They needed better ways to track inventory. We provided it. Our first employee was a guy named Miguel Torres. He's still with us. 37 years. VP of Engineering now. By 1990, we had 50 employees. By 2000, we had 500. By 2020, ChenTech Solutions had 2,000 employees. Revenue $500 million annually. I was proud, not of the money, of what we'd built, the people whose careers we'd launched, the problems we'd solved. Emma grew up in that company. She'd come to the office after school, do her homework in the break room. She knew every employee by name. When Ellen died 5 years ago, cancer, the whole company came to the funeral. 2,000 people. They'd formed a line that went around the block. That's when I knew we'd built something real. When she graduated from business school, she asked to join. I was thrilled. Then she married Dan. I should have seen it then. The way he looked at the office. Not like a workplace. Like a prize he'd won. But Emma loved him. And I loved Emma. So when Dan asked to join the company 3 years ago, I said yes. Midnight. The office was empty except for me and 2 other janitors. I used my master key to enter Dan's office. My old office. He'd redecorated. Removed all my photos. The one of Emma and me at her college graduation. The framed newspaper article about our first major client in 1992. The picture of Ellen cutting the ribbon at our new headquarters in 2008. All gone. Replaced with modern art. Abstract paintings that probably cost more than most employees made in a year. On his desk was a stack of papers. I photographed every page. Contract negotiations with Silverman Capital. They wanted to buy 40% of the company. Dan was selling my company. He planned to sell 40% to private equity. Dilute my ownership. Take the money and run. The documents showed something else. Offshore accounts. Transfers I'd never authorized. $3 million moved from company reserves to an account in the Cayman Islands. My digital signature on every transfer. If anyone investigated, it would look like I'd stolen the money before retiring. I photographed everything, took my time, made sure every page was clear. Then I opened his file cabinets. Found more customer contracts that had been altered. We had a long-standing agreement with our biggest client, Martinez Manufacturing. Fixed pricing for 3 years. Dan had changed it. Raised prices by 30% without authorization. Martinez Manufacturing had been with us since 1993. 31 years. Their CEO, Carlos Martinez, had been at Ellen's funeral, had hugged me, told me she was the kindest person he'd ever met, and Dan was gouging them. I found more altered contracts. 6 of them. All long-term clients. All being overcharged. Then I found something that made my blood boil. Meeting notes. Dan had met with our biggest competitor, TechCore Systems, 3 times in the past 2 months. He was selling them our client list, our pricing strategies, our product roadmap, corporate espionage. I photographed every page. Then I saw the email. From Dan to Emma. Subject line said the plan. Emma, don't worry about your father. Once the Silverman deal closes, we'll have $80 million. We can finally restructure. Get rid of the dead weight. The old employees who remember him. Miguel Torres, Sarah Kim, all those dinosaurs making 6 figures. We'll replace them with contractors at half the cost. The family culture nonsense ends now. This company is worth $500 million. Under my leadership, it'll be worth $2 billion in 5 years. Your dad built something, but he built it for the wrong reasons. Family, loyalty, that's not how you build wealth. Trust me on this. I love you. I stood there for 20 minutes, just staring at that screen. My daughter knew. Emma knew what Dan was planning, and she'd said nothing. Miguel Torres. I'd hired him in '87. He was at my wedding to Ellen. He'd held Emma when she was 2 days old. Sarah Kim. She joined us in '92. Her daughter had leukemia in 2006. We kept her on full salary for 18 months while she took care of her kid. Sarah had cried in my office, said we'd save her family. Dan wanted to fire them, call them dead weight. Something in me broke that night, but I didn't cry, didn't scream, didn't destroy his computer. I just took more photos, and I made a decision. It was time. The next morning, I didn't show up for my janitorial shift. Instead, I called my lawyer, Todd Harrison. He'd been my attorney for 30 years, had helped us incorporate in '84, had been at every major milestone. Robert, haven't heard from you in months. How's retirement? I need you to file an emergency motion. I'm requesting an immediate board meeting. What? You stepped down as CEO. You're not on the board anymore. I'm still the majority shareholder. I own 51% of the company. Check the corporate charter. Dan is 5%. The board holds the rest. Silence. Then Todd said, "You're right. You signed paper stepping down as CEO, executive authority, but you retained ownership. You never transferred your shares." Exactly. I need that meeting. This week. And Todd, I need you to contact the FBI. The FBI? Wire fraud. Securities fraud. Corporate espionage. I have evidence. 3 months of it. Another long silence. Robert, what have you been doing? Watching. Todd, just watching. Watching from where? You don't want to know. 3 days later. Thursday afternoon. 2 p.m. The boardroom was packed. 12 board members. Dan, Emma, our CFO Marcus Webb, our General Counsel Patricia Morrison. Miguel Torres was there too, VP of Engineering. I'd asked Todd to invite him. And me, I walked in wearing a suit, navy blue, same one I'd worn to board meetings for 20 years. Same one I'd worn to Ellen's funeral. Dan's face went white. Emma gasped, actually gasped. Dad? What are you doing here? I sat down at the head of the table. My old seat. The CEO's chair that Dan had moved to his office. I'd moved it back that morning. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm calling this emergency session as majority shareholder of ChenTech Solutions. Dan stood up. His voice was shaking. Robert, you step down. You can't just... Sit down, Dan. Something in my voice made him sit. The board members were staring. Most of them had been with me for 10 to 20 years. Sarah Chen, no relation, had been on the board since 2005. Michael Rodriguez since 2008. Jennifer Walsh since 2012. They knew me. They'd trusted me. They'd trusted Dan because I'd vouched for him. 3 months ago, I said, I had a heart attack. My family convinced me to step down as CEO. They said I needed rest, that I should let the next generation lead. I looked at Emma. She wouldn't meet my eyes. So I did. I stepped down, signed the papers, moved out of my office. I opened my laptop, connected it to the projection screen, but I didn't disappear. The screen came to life, showed a photo, me in a janitor's uniform, taken 2 weeks ago by one of the security cameras. For the past 3 months, I've been working here. Night shift, janitorial services. Bob Chan. That was the name on my application. The room exploded. What? You were a janitor? That's impossible. Why would you do that? I raised my hand. They went quiet. I wanted to see what would happen when people thought I was gone, when they thought I couldn't see, couldn't hear. I clicked to the next slide. Dan's email to Emma appeared, 30 feet wide on the screen. Get rid of the dead weight. The old employees who remember him. Miguel Torres, Sarah Kim, all those dinosaurs. Miguel's face went hard. He looked at Dan. You were going to fire me? Dan opened his mouth. Nothing came out. I clicked again. Showed the offshore accounts. $3 million. 27 transactions. My forged signature on every one. Embezzlement, our CFO Marcus said. His voice was quiet but steady. Wire fraud. That's federal. Yes, it is. Next slide. The Silverman Capital deal. 40% of the company being sold without board approval, without shareholder approval. Patricia Morrison, our general counsel, leaned forward. That violates Section 4.3 of our charter. Any sale above 10% requires board approval. Any sale above 25% requires shareholder approval. This is illegal. I know. I clicked to the next slide. The altered customer contracts. Dan changed our contracts with 6 major clients. Raised prices without authorization, without consulting sales, without notifying clients. Jennifer Walsh, who chaired our audit committee, looked sick. Those are material changes. They should have been disclosed. This is securities fraud. It gets worse. I clicked again. Showed the meeting notes with Tech Core Systems. Dan met with our biggest competitor 3 times. Sold them our client list, our pricing strategies, our product development roadmap. Michael Rodriguez stood up. That's corporate espionage. That's Jesus. Dan, we could lose everything. Every client. Every competitive advantage. Everything. I played a recording. Dan's voice filled the room. The old man's out. We can finally run this company like a real business. No more family reunion bullshit. No more loyalty to people who don't deliver numbers. Miguel's been here 37 years, and what's he done lately? Nothing. We'll fire him. Replace him with 3 contractors at 1/3 of his salary. Miguel stood up, walked out of the room, slammed the door behind him. I didn't blame him. I played another recording. Dan talking to Silverman Capital. Chen built this company with his heart. That's nice. but I'm going to rebuild it with my head. Cut 20% of staff. Outsource customer service to the Philippines. Offshore engineering to Eastern Europe. Double margins in 18 months. The employees won't like it, but they'll adapt or leave. I don't care which. Sarah Chen looked like she was going to be sick. I played one more recording. Dan's voice again. My father-in-law is a dinosaur. He thinks business is about relationships, about taking care of people. That worked in the 80s. It doesn't work now. Employees are expenses. Clients are revenue streams. Everything is numbers. And I'm going to optimize every number until this company is worth 10 times what it is now. The room was silent. Then I showed the final slide. A motion, effective immediately. I'm proposing the following. Daniel Morrison is terminated as CEO for cause. Banned from company property. The Silverman deal is canceled. All unauthorized financial transfers are to be reversed and investigated. All altered customer contracts are to be disclosed and corrected. And I'm resuming my role as CEO until the board can conduct a proper search for my replacement. Patricia Morrison spoke immediately. Given the evidence of embezzlement, breach of fiduciary duty, securities fraud, and corporate espionage, I second the motion. All in favor? 12 hands went up. Every single board member. Dan stood. His face was red, then white, then red again. You can't do this. I'll sue. You'll do nothing, Dan. I've already contacted the FBI and the SEC. They'll be here Monday morning. His face went completely white. The FBI? $3 million in unauthorized wire transfers. That's federal wire fraud. Securities fraud for misrepresenting company financials to investors. Forging my signature on 27 separate legal documents. Corporate espionage for sharing confidential information with competitors. Each charge carries up to 20 years in federal prison. I'll go to prison. Almost certainly. He looked at Emma. His voice cracked. Tell him I was doing this for us. For our future. For our life together. Emma didn't look at him. She looked at me. Her eyes were full of tears. Dad, she said. Her voice was barely a whisper. I'm so sorry. I didn't know about the money. I swear I didn't know. But I knew about the firings. I knew about the plan to cut staff. And I said nothing. I'm so sorry. The next week was chaos. Federal investigators arrived Tuesday morning. 8 FBI agents. For SEC investigators. They interviewed everyone. Audited every account. Seized Dan's computers and phones and files. Dan was arrested Thursday afternoon. Perp walk and everything. Local news was there. National news picked it up by evening. Tech CEO arrested in multi-million-dollar embezzlement scheme. Founder posed as janitor to expose son-in-law's fraud. Some articles call me crazy. Others call me brilliant. A few call me vindictive. I didn't care about any of that. What I cared about were the employees. Starting Monday, they began coming to my office. My real office, the one I'd reclaimed. Miguel was the first. He knocked on my door at 7:30 a.m. Robert. Miguel. He sat down without asking. We'd known each other for 37 years. He didn't need permission. You could have told me, he said, that you were working nights, that you were investigating. I could have helped. I know, but I needed to do this alone. If I'd told anyone, it might have tipped Dan off. He was going to fire me. He was going to fire 23 people, all long-term employees, all people who'd been here for more than 10 years. Miguel was quiet for a long time. Then he said, Ellen would be proud of you, what you did. She always said you'd do anything to protect the people you cared about. I felt tears in my eyes. First time in months. She would have hated what Dan was trying to do. She would have. This company was her baby too. She sacrificed just as much as you did. All those years. All those late nights. All those times you missed dinner because of some crisis. I know. Don't let anyone take this place away from what it's supposed to be. I won't. He stood up, shook my hand. Thank you, Robert, for everything. More employees came throughout the week. Sarah Kim brought me lunch. Homemade kimchi and rice. We'd done this once a month for 32 years. Robert, I heard what Dan said about me in that recording, calling me dead weight. Sarah, you're not. I know I'm not, but it still hurt. I gave this company 32 years. I thought that meant something. It does mean something. It means everything. She smiled. Good, because I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to work here until I'm 80 if you'll let me. Deal. Carlos Martinez called from Martinez Manufacturing. Robert, I just got a letter from your legal department. Apparently, Dan had been overcharging us for the past 6 months. You're refunding us $200,000. That's right, plus interest. Carlos, I'm sorry. I had no idea Dan was doing that. Robert, you've been our partner for 31 years. One bad apple doesn't change that. But I want you to know, if you hadn't caught this, if you hadn't stopped it, we would have left. We were this close to switching to TechCore. I know, Dan was selling them our information. I heard, Robert, what you did, pretending to be a janitor, that's either crazy or genius. I haven't decided which. Maybe both. He laughed. Probably both. Listen, I want to increase our order, 20%, and I want to extend our contract for 5 more years. But only if you're at the helm. Carlos, I'm 65. I can't run this company forever. Then find someone good, someone who understands what you built, but don't let some MBA destroy it. I won't. I promise. Emma came to my office 2 weeks after the board meeting. She'd taken a leave of absence. I hadn't seen her since that day. Dad, can we talk? I gestured to a chair. Of course. She sat down, looked exhausted. Her eyes were red. She'd been crying. I filed for divorce. I nodded. I'd expected that. I should have known, she said. The signs were there. The way he talked about money, about people, about success. But I loved him, and I wanted to believe that his vision was right, that your way was old-fashioned, that loyalty and family culture were things from the past. She started crying again. I'm so sorry, Dad. I let him disrespect you. I let him call Miguel deadweight. I let him plan to fire people who'd been here longer than I've been alive. I destroyed everything you built. I walked around the desk, hugged her, really hugged her. Emma, you made a mistake. You trusted someone you loved. That's not a crime. But I knew he wanted to change things. I should have stopped him. You're 28 years old. You're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to trust the wrong person. And you didn't commit fraud. You didn't forge signatures. You didn't steal money. Dan did that. Not you. She cried harder. I let him make you feel like you didn't matter. Like what you built didn't matter. Emma, look at me. She looked up. You made a mistake. But you're here now. You came back. You apologized. That's what matters. That's what your mother would have said. At the mention of Ellen, she cried even harder. Mom would be so disappointed in me. No, she would be sad that you got hurt. But she would be proud that you're trying to make it right. She pulled back, wiped her eyes. Dad, I want to come back. But I need to start over. I can't just walk back into management. I need to learn what you really built. Not from business school textbooks. Not from Dan's spreadsheets. From the ground up. What are you thinking? I want to work in every department. 6 months each. Customer service. Sales. Engineering. Operations. Accounting. Everything. I want to meet every person. Learn every process. Understand what this company actually does. She took a breath. Then, maybe in a few years, if you still trust me, if the board still trusts me, maybe I can help lead this place. But only if I do it the right way. Your way. Mom's way. The way that puts people first. I smiled. First genuine smile in weeks. That sounds perfect. And Dad, I promise you, I will never let anyone disrespect what you built again. Ever. If someone tries, I'll fight them myself. I know you will. Can I ask you something? Anything. Why did you do it? The janitor thing. You could have just come back as CEO. You could have audited the books from your position. Why risk everything by going undercover? I thought about that for a long time because I needed to see the truth. And the truth only comes out when people think nobody's watching, when they think nobody cares, when they think they can say and do whatever they want without consequences. And you wanted to see who Dan really was. I wanted to see who everyone really was. Dan, you, the board, the employees, myself. When you're CEO, people tell you what you want to hear. When you're a janitor, nobody even knows you're there. You see what's real. What did you see? I saw that most people are good. Most people care. Miguel, Sarah, Carlos, the other employees. They cared about this company because of what it stands for, not what it's worth. And me? What did you see when you looked at me? I took her hand. I saw someone who made a mistake. Someone who trusted the wrong person. Someone who lost their way for a little while. But also someone who had the courage to come back, to apologize, to want to do better. That's what I saw. She squeezed my hand. Thank you, Dad. 3 months later, I was in my office when security called. Mr. Chen, there's someone here to see you. Doesn't have an appointment. Who is it? Says his name is James Chen. Says he's your brother. I froze. I hadn't seen my brother in 15 years. We'd had a falling out over money. I'd offered to invest in his business. He'd taken it as charity. Said I was showing off. We'd said terrible things to each other. Hadn't spoken since. Send him up. 5 minutes later, James walked in. He looked old. Gray hair. Lines on his face. When had we gotten so old? Robert. James. Awkward silence. Then he said, I read about what happened with Dan, with you working as a janitor. It was in the Wall Street Journal. Front page. Yeah. And I realized something. You spent 40 years building something real. Something that mattered to people. Not just to you, but to 2,000 employees and their families. I thought so. Turns out it was more fragile than I realized. Almost lost it in 3 months. But you didn't lose it. You fought for it. You became a janitor at 65 years old to save it. He sat down without asking. Robert, I came here to apologize. For 15 years ago. For what I said, I was jealous. You built a successful company, and I built a lot of debt and regrets. I took my failure out on you. I'm sorry. I looked at him. My brother. We'd shared a bedroom for 18 years growing up, had fought over everything, had been best friends, and we'd wasted 15 years being too proud to apologize. I'm sorry too, James. I was arrogant. I did offer you that money like it was charity, like I was better than you. I wasn't. I just got luckier. It wasn't luck, Robert. You worked your ass off. So, did you? Not the same way. We sat in silence for a minute. Then James said, Ellen called me 2 months before she died. Did you know that? I didn't know. She did. Yeah. She asked me to come visit. Said life was too short to hold grudges. I said I'd think about it. Then she died. And I didn't go to the funeral because I was too ashamed. He was crying now. I'm so sorry, Robert. Ellen was always kind to me, even after our fight. And I didn't even say goodbye. I got up, walked around the desk, hugged my brother for the first time in 15 years. She would forgive you. You know that. I know, but I don't forgive myself. Then start now. We've wasted 15 years. Let's not waste any more. We talked for 3 hours, caught up on 15 years, laughed about our childhood, cried about our parents, both gone now, talked about our kids, about life, about mistakes. When he left, he hugged me again. I'm proud of you, Robert. Not because you're successful, not because you built a big company, but because when everything was on the line, when someone was trying to steal what you built, you fought back. You didn't give up. You did the right thing even when it was hard. 6 months after the board meeting, Dan was sentenced. Federal court. Judge Margaret Thornton presiding. I requested permission to make a statement. I was there. So was Emma. So was Miguel. So were 20 other employees. The judge was not sympathetic. Mr. Morrison, you betrayed the trust of your father-in-law, your wife, and every employee at ChenTech Solutions. You embezzled $3 million from a company that gave you everything. You forged 27 legal documents. You committed securities fraud by misrepresenting company financials to investors. You engaged in corporate espionage by selling confidential information to competitors. She paused. The prosecution has recommended 8 years. The defense has asked for 3 years and probation. I've read Mr. Chen's statement. I've read statements from employees. I've reviewed the evidence. Another pause. Mr. Morrison, you are hereby sentenced to 10 years in federal prison. No possibility of parole before 7 years. You will also pay restitution of $3 million to ChenTech Solutions and a fine of $2 million to the government. You are permanently banned from serving as an officer or director of any publicly traded company. 10 years. Dan turned to look at me as the marshals put handcuffs on him. Our eyes met. I saw something there. Not anger, not defiance. Shame, regret, maybe even recognition that he destroyed his own life. I didn't feel sorry for him, but I didn't feel happy either. Just tired. 1 year after I came back, ChenTech Solutions was thriving. Revenue was up 18%. Employee morale was the highest it had been in years. We'd launched 2 new products, both successful. We'd hired back all 23 people Dan had fired, every single one. Emma was working in the engineering department, learning to code from Miguel, learning how our products actually work from the people who built them. She came to my office one afternoon. Dad, I have an idea. What's that? What if we created a program for employees who want to understand the whole business? 6 months in each department. Learn how everything connects. How a customer service call affects product development. How engineering decisions affect sales. How sales strategies affect operations. Like what you're doing? Exactly. We could call it the Builder Program, because that's what we are. We're not just a tech company. We're builders. We build relationships. We build careers. We build solutions for clients. We build a community. I smiled. I love it. Write up a proposal. We'll present it to the board next month. She grinned. Already did. I sent it to your email this morning. I laughed. Of course you did. Dad, there's something else. What? Miguel is 62. He's thinking about retiring in a few years. He suggested something. He thinks I should take over as VP of Engineering when he retires. What do you think? I think I need to earn it. I need to finish the Builder Program. Work in every department. Learn from everyone. Then, if Miguel still thinks I'm ready, if you think I'm ready, if the team thinks I'm ready, maybe I can do it. Emma, you're going to be great. I hope so. I have a lot to prove. You already have. You came back. You apologized. You're doing the work. That's what matters. Sometimes, late at night, I still walk the empty halls of ChenTech Solutions. I pass the janitor's closet. See the mop and bucket I used for 3 months. My uniform is still there. I kept it, not because I miss it, because it reminds me of something important. You can't know a company from the CEO's office alone. You can't understand your business from financial reports and board meetings and strategy sessions. You have to see it from every angle. The janitor's perspective, the entry-level employee's perspective, the customer's perspective, the engineer's perspective. That's how you build something that lasts. That's how you protect what matters. And that's how you know it's real. Last week, the Wall Street Journal called. Wanted to do a follow-up article. 1 year later, the CEO who became a janitor. The reporter asked me what I'd learned. I thought about that for a long time. I learned that titles don't matter. That corner offices don't matter. That what matters is whether you're building something real. Something that makes people's lives better. Something that gives people purpose and pride and a place to belong. And I learned that the best way to see the truth is to become invisible. Because when people think nobody's watching, that's when you see who they really are. The article came out yesterday. Different tone than the first one. Less sensational. More thoughtful. My phone has been ringing all week. Other CEOs, other founders, all asking the same questions. How did you know something was wrong? How did you have the courage to start over? How did you forgive your daughter? And I tell them the same thing every time. I didn't know something was wrong until I started paying attention. Real attention. Not to quarterly reports, but to people. To how they talked when they thought nobody was listening. To what they did when they thought nobody cared. And I didn't start over. I just went back to the basics. Back to what mattered when I started this company in my garage 40 years ago. Building something that solves real problems for real people. And I forgave my daughter because she came back. Because she apologized. Because she's doing the work to earn back trust. That's all you can ask of someone who made a mistake. Emma just texted me. Dad, finish my rotation in customer service. Want to grab dinner and hear what I learned? That noodle place Mom loved. I smiled and typed back. Absolutely. 7 p.m. Because that's what this was always about. Not the money, not the title, not the corner office or the stock price or the revenue targets. Building something with the people you love. Protecting it when someone tries to take it away. And passing it on to the next generation the right way. Even if you have to pretend to be a janitor to do it. Even if you have to start over. Even if it takes everything you have. Because in the end, that's what defines success. Not what you build, but who you build it for. And whether they remember why it mattered. This morning, I walked past the employee break room. Saw a group of new hires. Young, fresh out of college. Probably 23, 24 years old. One of them saw me. Stood up. Mr. Chen, can I ask you something? Of course. Is it true that you worked here as a janitor? The whole break room went quiet. Everyone was listening. It's true. Why? I mean, you own the company. Why would you do that? I thought about how to answer. Because I needed to remember something. I needed to remember what it feels like to be invisible. To be the person nobody notices. Nobody thanks. Nobody sees. Because that's most people. Most people aren't CEOs. Most people are working night shifts. Cleaning floors. Doing the work nobody else wants to do. And if you're going to run a company, you need to see those people. Really see them. Not just know they exist, but understand what their lives are like. What they sacrifice. What they hope for. The young hire nodded slowly. That's really cool. Most CEOs don't think like that. Most CEOs should. I started to walk away. Then I turned back. What's your name? Jessica. Jessica Martinez. Martinez. Like Carlos. Any relation to Carlos Martinez? Martinez Manufacturing. She smiled. He's my uncle. He told me I should apply here. Said you were different. That you actually cared about people. Your uncle is a good man. He says the same about you. He told me about your wife. About how she came to visit his factory in '95 when his workers were on strike. How she spent 3 days talking to them. Listening to them. How she helped negotiate a solution that saved his company. I felt tears in my eyes again. I didn't know he remembered that. He said your wife taught him that business is about people first. Numbers second. He said he's tried to run his company that way ever since. That sounds like Ellen. Jessica smiled. He also said if I wanted to learn from the best, I should work here. So here I am. Well, welcome to ChenTech, Jessica. I hope we live up to your uncle's recommendation. I went back to my office. On my desk was a photo. Ellen and me. Our wedding day. 1983. We were so young. 24 years old. No idea what was coming. No idea we'd build a company. Raise a daughter. Fight through 40 years of challenges and failures and small victories. No idea she'd die at 62, and I'd have to figure out how to keep going without her. But she prepared me. All those years. All those conversations late at night when I was stressed about the business. She'd say, Robert, remember why you started this. Not to get rich. Not to be famous. To solve problems. To help people. To build something that matters. If you ever forget that, if you ever start caring more about the numbers than the people, you need to stop. Take a step back. Remember, I'd forgotten. For a little while after she died, I'd forgotten. I'd gotten comfortable, gotten complacent, let Dan take over because it was easier than fighting. And I almost lost everything. But Ellen had taught me well. She'd taught me to pay attention, to listen, to see people. That's why I became a janitor. Not just to catch Dan, to remember what she'd taught me, to see my company the way she would have seen it, through the eyes of the people who did the real work. There's a board meeting this afternoon. We're voting on the builder program, Emma's proposal, 6-month rotations through every department, for any employee who wants to understand the whole business. Miguel sent me a text this morning. This is what Ellen would have wanted. A company that invests in people, that teaches them, that gives them opportunities to grow. He's right. This is exactly what she would have wanted. After the board meeting, I'm taking Emma to the cemetery. We go once a month. Bring flowers. Sit with Ellen. Talk to her. Tell her what's happening with the company, with our lives, with everything. Emma always cries. Says she wishes her mom could see what she's doing, how she's trying to fix her mistakes. I tell her the same thing every time. Your mom can see, and she's proud of you. I believe that. I have to believe that. Because Ellen is the reason any of this exists. The company, the culture, the values. All her. I just built the framework. She filled it with meaning. Next month, we're hosting our annual company celebration. 40 years of ChenTech Solutions. 2,000 employees. Their families. Our clients. Our partners. Miguel is giving a speech. So is Emma. So am I. I've been thinking about what to say. How do you summarize 40 years in a few minutes? How do you explain what this company means? I think I'll tell them about the janitor's closet, about the mop and bucket, about the 3 months I spent invisible, because that's when I really saw this company. Not from the CEO's office, from the basement, from the night shift, from the perspective of the people who keep everything running. That's where the truth lives. That's where you find out what really matters. And what really matters is this: people, not products, not profits, not quarterly earnings or stock prices or market share. People, the employee who stays late to help a customer, the engineer who fixes a bug at 2 a.m. because they care about getting it right, the customer service rep who spends an hour on the phone with a confused client because they want to help. That's what matters. That's what Ellen knew from the beginning. That's what I almost forgot. That's what Dan never understood. Emma just knocked on my door. Dad, the board is here. We're ready to vote. I'll be right there. She paused at the door. Dad, thank you for everything. For stopping Dan. For saving the company. For giving me a second chance. For teaching me what really matters. You don't need to thank me, Emma. You're my daughter. That's what parents do. Not all parents. Then they're missing out. She smiled. I'm going to make you proud. I promise. You already have. The board voted unanimously. The builder program launches next quarter. 50 employees in the first cohort. 6 months in each department. 12 departments total. 3 years to complete. Then they can apply for leadership positions. With real knowledge, real experience, real understanding of how everything connects. Emma will be the program director. Miguel will be the faculty advisor. I'll teach one class. Foundations of Business, People First. It's what Ellen would have taught if she were here. Tonight, I'm going home to my house. The same house Ellen and I bought in 1990, 34 years ago. Could have bought a bigger house, a mansion, something impressive. But Ellen said no. This house has good memories, she said. Emma grew up here. Why would we leave? So we stayed, and I'm glad we did, because when I walked through that door, I remember her in the kitchen making dinner. I remember Emma doing homework at the dining table. I remember Friday nights watching movies together. I remember what matters. Tomorrow morning, I'll wake up at 5 a.m., go for a run, shower, drive to the office, walk past the janitor's closet, nod to the night crew finishing their shift, sit in my office, check emails, review reports, attend meetings, do all the CEO things. But I'll also do something else. I'll walk the floors, talk to employees, ask questions, listen, really listen, because that's what Ellen taught me. That's what 3 months as a janitor reminded me. You can't lead from behind a desk. You have to see people. You have to know their stories. You have to remember that every number on a spreadsheet is a person with a life and a family and dreams and fears. That's leadership. That's what builds something that lasts. Last thing, Dan sent me a letter from prison. His lawyer forwarded it. I almost threw it away, but I read it. Robert, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve it. I destroyed your trust. I betrayed your daughter. I almost destroyed a company you spent 40 years building. I'm writing this because my therapist said I should take responsibility. So here it is. I was wrong. I thought business was about numbers, about maximizing profit, about cutting costs and increasing efficiency and optimizing everything. I thought you were naive. I thought loyalty and family culture were weaknesses. I was wrong about all of it. You didn't build a company. You built a community, a place where people feel valued, where they want to work, where they care about each other and the clients and the mission. That's worth more than any profit margin. I didn't see it until I lost it. I'll spend the next 10 years in here thinking about what I threw away. Not just my freedom, not just my marriage, but the chance to be part of something real. I'm sorry, Robert. I know it doesn't change anything, but I'm sorry. Dan, I read it 3 times. Then I filed it away. I don't forgive him. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I understand something now. Dan wasn't evil. He was just lost. He measured success by the wrong metrics. Money, power, status, instead of people. Purpose, impact. That's an easy mistake to make. I almost made it myself. That's why I became a janitor. To remember what matters. Emma just texted again. Dad, I'm at the cemetery. Are you coming? I texted back. On my way. I grabbed my jacket, locked my office, walked out. As I passed a reception desk, the security guard nodded. Have a good evening, Mr. Chen. You too, Marcus. Hey, Mr. Chen? Yeah, that thing you did. The janitor thing. That was really something. My cousin works nights on the cleaning crew. He said you were a good janitor. Said you did the work right. Didn't complain. Treated everyone with respect. That's kind of him to say. No, really. He said most executives, when they're doing undercover boss or whatever, they half-ass it. They're just there for the cameras. But you actually did the work. You actually cared. I did care. Those 3 months taught me more about this company than the previous 40 years. That's what my cousin said. He said you saw things nobody else sees. Because you were willing to be invisible. Your cousin is wise. He said you proved something. That no job is beneath you if it's honest work. That everyone deserves respect, no matter what they do. He's right. And Marcus, thank you for keeping this place safe. Every night, every weekend. That matters. He smiled. Thank you, Mr. Chen. I drove to the cemetery. Emma was already there, sitting on the bench next to Ellen's headstone. I sat down next to her. Hi, Mom. Emma said to the headstone. Dad's here. We have updates. She always talks Ellen like she's there. Listening. Maybe she is. The board approved the builder program today. All 12 votes. Miguel said it's the best idea we've had in years. He said you would have loved it. She wiped her eyes. I'm in customer service now. 3 months down. 3 more to go. Then on to sales. I'm learning so much, Mom. About people. About what they need. About how to really listen. She turned to me. Dad, do you want to tell her? I looked at the headstone. Ellen Chen, 1959 to 2019, beloved wife and mother. She taught us how to care. Hi, Ellen. It's been a year since everything happened with Dan. A year since I came back as CEO. I paused. This was harder than I expected. I miss you. Every day. But I'm trying to do what you would have done. I'm trying to remember that business is about people. That numbers don't matter if we lose our humanity. Emma's doing great. Really great. She's going to be better than me someday. Better than I ever was. Emma squeezed my hand. And I'm trying to live the way you taught me. To see people. To value them. To remember that every person matters. I became a janitor, Ellen. Can you believe that? 65 years old. And I was mopping floors at midnight. You would have laughed. And then you would have said it was the smartest thing I'd ever done. I felt tears on my face. Because that's when I saw it. What you always saw. That the people doing the hardest work. The invisible work. The work nobody notices. Those are the people who keep everything running. I wish you were here. I wish you could see what we're building. What Emma's becoming. What this company is turning into. But I think maybe you can see. I think maybe you're proud. I hope you're proud. We sat there for an hour. Just the three of us. Emma, me, and Ellen. A family. Still together. Even when one of us is gone. On the drive back, Emma asked me something. Dad, do you ever regret it? Becoming a janitor? Taking that risk? No, never. Even though it was humiliating? Even though you had to watch Dan try to destroy everything? Especially because of that. Because if I hadn't done it, he would have succeeded. The company would be gone. Or it would be something else. Something unrecognizable. Do you think you'll ever tell the full story? Everything you saw? Everything you learned? Maybe. Someday. When I'm ready. What would you say? I'd say that sometimes the only way to see the truth is to become invisible. That sometimes the only way to protect what you love is to start over from the bottom. That sometimes the only way to remember what matters is to lose your position and your title and your office and see what's left. And what's left? People, purpose, love. That's what's left. That's what always matters. That's what can never be taken away unless you let it. Emma nodded. Mom taught you that. She did. And now I'm teaching you. And someday you'll teach someone else. That's how it works. That's how we keep it alive. Tonight, I'm going to sleep in my own bed, in my own house. The house I bought with Ellen in 1990. The house where we raised Emma. The house where Ellen died 5 years ago. The house full of memories and love and 40 years of life together. And tomorrow, I'll wake up and do it all again. Run the company. Make decisions. Attend meetings. But I'll also walk the floors. Talk to the people. Remember the janitor's closet. Remember what Ellen taught me. Remember that success isn't about money or power or titles. Success is about building something that matters to people. Something that makes their lives better. Something that lasts. That's what I built. That's what I almost lost. That's what I saved by becoming a janitor. And that's what I'll protect for as long as I can. Because that's what Ellen would have wanted. That's what Emma deserves. That's what 2,000 employees and their families depend on. And that's what I owe to the 25-year-old kid who started this company in a garage 40 years ago with $8,000 and a dream. I owe it to him to remember what he was trying to build. Not a fortune. A place where people matter. Where work has meaning. Where everyone is seen. Even the janitor.